Sean, the sentiment around the Cincinnati Bengals this year, I think it's kind of a consensus across the board in that Joe Burrow's awesome. He's got great receivers, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. That offense can be electric, but the defense is what's going to hold them back this year from, I don't want to say making the playoffs. I think that could be a possibility, but winning the division, winning a AFC title, winning a Super Bowl, I don't think you can do that with this defense.
Absolutely, dead on. I think we saw, you know what a great example of a playoff team with no defense looks like with an unbelievable offense? The Detroit Lions. That's what we saw towards the end of the year last season, where we knew they were going to score a lot of points, but they couldn't get a stop down the stretch, and it wasn't of their own doing, just a lot of unlucky injuries. Hutchinson started kicking it off in the middle of the season when he went down for the remainder of the year. I think at some point in his career, he's going to win DPOY. I had a ticket on him to win DPOY last year. He was going to be right there in the thick of it. But as an offensive unit, no matter how good you are, if you are under pressure and feel the pressure of having to go out and not get 3, we're not talking about getting points. We're talking about scoring touchdowns on damn near every drive you go out. It's a little too much to handle, especially when we start playing some of the better teams in the NFL come playoff time in the AFC. So it gets very, very difficult to balance that. And no matter how good Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are, I think it's too tall of an order for them to make a real deep run. And then on the flip side, you see a squad like the Chiefs, they're thinking the exact opposite. As long as we don't make any mistakes offensively, which Pat doesn't do, especially in crunch time, we're going to win. Our defense is going to keep us in the game. And when Chris Jones needs to get a pressure, he will. So that's the dichotomy of both. So, yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly that Joe, no matter how good he is, they have to score every possession. And now they're in contract talks with their best player on defense who led the league in sacks. So I don't see it getting any better. And they look just as poor against a second-string offense in their first preseason game against the Eagles. So tough spot for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Is there any quarterback that's asked to do more with less? Like, Joe Burrow has never had a top 20 offensive line. The run game since 2021 for Cincinnati, bottom 3 in success rate, in yards per carry. He gets no help. Yet last year, he went out and set career highs in completions and attempts and yards and touchdowns. Like, I almost feel like Joe Burrow is an MVP candidate. We know he's an MVP caliber quarterback, but because he's asked to do so much with so little, and we're not just talking defense here, like the offensive line for Cincinnati this year is not that great. He was pressured, I want to say, more than any player within the first 2.5 seconds of snapping the ball. Like, opposing defenses are getting pressure on him immediately, and he still goes out there and puts up the numbers that we saw last year, which is just absolutely insane. So is there a reason to think that Burrow could be an MVP candidate again this year?
Yeah, of course. I think he wins MVP if they could get to 10, 11 wins. Flat out, the truth of it all is no matter what numbers you put up, if you don't have the wins when it comes to a lot of these awards, you're not going to get the nod, regardless of if they are numbers that we've never seen before. It doesn't matter.
Was
you have to
year,
win
Sean.
games. Yeah,
like,
exactly.
So, last year led the league in pretty much everything.
Yeah, I mean, Jamar Chase wins the Triple Crown and wins no awards.
Yeah.
So, like, this is like that. That's the they had a Triple Crown winner, a quarterback with the best numbers, and Trey Hendrickson led the league in pressures at 92. He had 17.5 sacks. His quarterback pressure rate when he's lined up was 19%. That is absurd. Myles Garrett's at 18.6%. Danielle Hunter's at 19.1%. Micah Parsons, another guy, 19.1%. But that's about the top end of the funnel. So, yeah, you need wins to win these awards, and not having Trey back, not having any improvement, any additions outside of bringing Trey back and hopefully getting him back in the fold for the defense. I just don't see any change. I will say, Kate, what do you think? Because Burrow was very boisterous about, I need T. Higgins back. I need Jamar Chase back. I need those guys back no matter what. you start to run out of money at some point. It's do you side with Joe, or do you give the team a little bit of credit where it's like, yeah, you're asking us to put together a top D with absolutely not a lot of wiggle room?
Well, I think that's part of what's going on with Trey Hendrickson and him not getting exactly what he wants out of that contract because they've invested so much into the offense. But if you're the front office for the Bengals, how do you say no to Joe Burrow, who is the one that wins you games? If he says, I need these pieces on offense in order to be successful, I feel like you have to adhere to that. That obviously creates an issue, which is what they have right now, in that, okay, sure, your offense is phenomenal, but your defense is lacking. So there is a fine line or a balance that I think some other teams have mastered a little bit better. Like, could they have let T. Higgins walk and brought in someone a little bit cheaper, maybe a little less talented? Does that have the same chemistry with Joe Burrow? Like, then that offense looks different because you don't have the tandem of Chase and Higgins, and that being so difficult for opposing defenses to defend both of those players versus just being able to take away Jamar Chase. So I kind of understand them wanting to listen to Burrow and Burrow getting everything he wants in all of this. But I also think part of that is Burrow probably wants a defense to help him out on offense, so he's not asked to do anything. So
Yeah.
it's all just like a snowball effect that I don't know the right way to do it. But I think when you have a quarterback like if Pat Mahomes goes to the front office in Kansas City and says, I want this guy on offense with me, like, they're probably going to give it to him, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, no doubt, right? So it's a really tough spot. And I'm a big proponent of including your superstar players in all discussions. It's always mind-boggling to me when you hear guys come out that are sincerely the face of the franchise saying, I had no idea this was going to happen. I had no idea that I even talked to this player so that always is insane to me because you want to make sure those guys are always extremely happy at all times. So yeah, I agree with you. Another number that a lot of people don't talk about, of Trey Hendrickson's 17 and a half sacks, 10 of them came in the fourth quarter. No one else is close to that. More than like 65% of his sacks are coming in the fourth quarter. To give you an example, the closest person in the fourth after Trey is Nick Bonita at 7. But like, if we go down to TJ Watt, 4 sacks in the fourth quarter. Hendrickson had 10. He's showing up in a major way when you need him. It's a guy that has been disrespected a lot of his career, if we're being completely honest. When we talk about edge rushers, it's Micah. It was Daniil Hunter for a stretch when he was in Minnesota. It's Max Crosby. It's TJ Watt. And Hendrickson continues to put up big numbers and never really gets mentioned throughout his career. If you go look at the numbers, they're just as good as TJ's in a lot of these seasons. So yeah, I feel for Hendrickson, and I agree with him that he should get his money. I hope he does. But if you peel him off of an already horrendous defense, I don't know where they go without Trey.
Yeah. The defense is bottom in the league, dead last without Trey Hendrickson, and pressure rate, completion rate allowed, success rate allowed, passer rating allowed. With him on the field, they're top 12. If they can get him on the field, this is a team that will go over their win total. I still think they have a slight chance to go over their win total regardless, but they are a team that I think could win the division, win the AFC. I'm not sure I'd go quite as far as Super Bowl, just because when you get to the Super Bowl, I think you're going to be facing another team with a dominant defense. And even with Trey Hendrickson, I don't think you can call this defense dominant. But I certainly think if he's on the field, they can win a ton of games and compete for the division, the AFC, all of that good stuff, which in fact, the AFC North, to win that, the Bengals are plus 260 to have the number 1 seed in the AFC, 12-1 to win the AFC, 10-1 in Super Bowl, 20-1. Their win total 9.5. It is juice minus 140 to the over, which is surprising to me, Sean, because their schedule isn't all that easy this year. It's a little bit more difficult than last season. And we just sat here for the last, 7 minutes and talked about how terrible this defense is and how do you win games with a defense like that. And yet the public, the majority of bettors right now is thinking that they're going to win 10 games and for some reason, I'm on the same side as that. I think they win 10 games as well.
It's just the trust in Joe Burrow is going to be a lot of it. I mean, and I do believe they are taking a little bit of this poor start to heart. Burrow getting
Yeah.
snaps, playing that first quarter against the Eagles in the first preseason, expected to play a little bit more the rest of the season. But those first 2 weeks also help. They're at Cleveland. That's a win. Should be a win. I said that last year when they went to New
I know.
England. And I was like, oh, that should be a win. That's a free W, and they lost. So
Knocked
there's no
everyone out of
free.
Survivor that week.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no free W's in the league. But at Cleveland should be a win. We don't even know who's playing quarterback for Cleveland. Jags at home opener, 12 noon in Central Time. Should be a W. And then you go to Minnesota, who's JJ McCarthy. Still a lot of questions about that. So you could start the season potentially 3-0 before you have to go to Denver and play the Broncos on looks like Monday Night Football at 7:15, 9:29. So if they get off to a good start, go 3-0, yeah, that 10 plus wins is in the realm. And we know Joe is going to be up to go to Baltimore. He's going to be up to go to Pittsburgh. Like, he's a gamer. Okay, you know when I knew Joe Burrow was different? I don't know if you might not remember this. I want to say it was his rookie year. He was playing the Bears. He threw 3 straight interceptions on 3 straight pass attempts. Like, went out, threw an interception, got back on the field, first play, threw an interception. I think like a turnover happened. He got it back. Very next play, threw a pick. And they cut to him on the sideline. Didn't look
Not
upset.
phased at all.
Not phased at all. And I was like, this guy is just different. This is a different dude. And he ended up playing the rest of the game extremely well. I can't remember if they came back and won, but the Bears ended up getting the W, but he played really well and almost brought them back. And so many other rookie quarterbacks crumble in that spot and just continue to compound mistakes. Joe was unfazed and came right back out and continued to throw the ball like nothing happened. And I was like, oh man, this dude seems very, very composed for being a rookie in the NFL. And obviously the next couple of years, he goes on to put together some really good stretches, a Super Bowl appearance and whatnot. So yeah, Joe Burrow's that guy. I mean, remember, he blows out his knee, comes back, no problem, not scared to step up in the pocket, just not phased, mentally on a different planet. And last point, Kate, me and my buddy Big Nick the Quick always joke about accuracy versus ball placement. We know Burrow's accurate. He puts balls in places that allow Jamar Chase to get up and down the field, T. Higgins to continue to get yak. The ball placement for Burrow is different. The pace is different. He's a special dude.
And I think part of that with at least Jamar Chase, like they've played together forever. They've had chemistry going back to LSU.
Yeah.
Like that, there's a lot of trust between the two there, which is why Jamar Chase, Triple Crown winner last year. I think he could maybe Triple Crown back-to-back years. Like that's pretty difficult, but he'll still get his stats. He'll have plenty. Maybe you look at him for Offensive Player of the Year, just knowing that Saquon could be taken just I don't even want to say a step back, but when you carry that big of a load that he did last year, like maybe they scale back on him a little bit. If Jamar Chase puts up similar numbers as he did last year, I think he could be someone to look at for that, Sean.
Yeah, Jamar Chase right now in the market is right around plus 600 to win Offensive Player of the Year. I think he'll get a lot of love for that award from last year because he's the Triple Crown guy. Saquon just happened to essentially almost break the rushing record, go for 2,000 plus, and win the Super Bowl. He was always going to get that award. When you're in the conversation for MVP as an offensive guy and you don't play quarterback, and there's that much conversation around it, OPOY is the next best thing. That's what he gets. But Jamar Chase any other year wins that award. I would say, though, I would bet this instead of OPOY for Jamar Chase. 6-1 to win OPOY. You can get 6-1 for Jamar Chase to lead the league in receiving yards. I'd rather play that and not have to worry about the OPOY and the politics of awards. Jamar Chase is going to have a massive year.